Good morning, everyone. My name is Coquette Cruz. On behalf of the pastors and our board of trustees, we welcome all of you to the Andrew Jackson Davis Educational Building for our Sunday service. At this time, if you are fully vaccinated, you do not have to wear a mask. We also do not allow personal recordings of this or other services. Please, thank you. We now ask that you turn off your cell phones at this time. To begin our service, I would like to ask, no? Gio, would you mind? We'll light the 3 candles symbolizing unity of body, mind, and spirit. Thank you. Okay. Please rise as you are able for the invocation. Infinite Spirit, thank you for the gathering this morning, and thank you for all that you do every day and in every way. Please continue to lend us your strength and your wisdom to do our highest and best. Amen. Please be seated. Located in the bulletin are the declarations of principles. Please join with me in reciting the principles together. We believe in infinite intelligence. We believe that the phenomena of nature, both physical and spiritual, are the expressions of infinite intelligence. We affirm that a correct understanding of such expression and living in accordance therewith constitute true religion. We affirm that the existence of personal identity of the individual continue after the change called death. We affirm that communication with the so-called dead is in fact scientifically proven by the phenomena of spiritualism. We believe that the highest morality is contained in the golden rule. Whatsoever ye would that others should do unto you, do ye also unto them. We affirm the moral responsibility of the individual and that he makes his own happiness or unhappiness as he obeys or disobeys nature's physical and spiritual laws. We affirm that the doorway to reformation is never closed against any human soul here or hereafter. We affirm that the precepts of prophecy and healing contained in the Bible are divine attributes proven through mediumship. The healing prayer is also in the bulletin. Please recite with me. I ask the great unseen healing force to remove all obstructions from my mind and body and to restore me to perfect health. I ask this in all sincerity and honesty, and I will do my part. I ask this great unseen healing force to help both present and absent ones who are in need of help and to restore them to perfect health. I put my trust in the love and power of God. Now, for those of you who would wish to receive spiritual healing, please go to the next available healer. Healers are sanitizing their hands after each person in case you have any concerns. While the healers work, the rest of us will join in a guided meditation. Okay, if you can clear your laps of all things. Okay. Now just relax. Be comfortable in your seats. Take a deep breath in. Hold at the top and release. Take another deep breath in. Hold at the top, and as you release, you're getting more comfortable in your seats. You are drifting into a place of comfort, a place centered within yourself. In this place, it is bright and sunny. It's a soft, gentle breeze, not too hot, not too cold. Before you, there's a path, a nice, soft, gentle path, and you follow it. And as you stroll along, you feel the day just melting away. As you take a deep breath in, you smell the sweet flowers along the path. What a fine, lovely day with the sunshine on your face. There are no worries here. This is a place where you take a moment for yourself. A moment where there's no interruptions, no one to bug you, no worries and nothing to think about. This is just your moment, your time. Take another deep breath and continue to feel yourself relax. Looking ahead on the path, you see a pond with a nice big willow tree. Her branches hanging over, with a bench just underneath the front, welcoming you to come. Please sit beside me. As you sit, you see her branches softly sway in the breeze. What a perfect day. As you look over to the side of you, there's someone walking towards you. Their gentle steps, as they get closer, they start to look more familiar. Your heart is smiling and you're simply glowing. They are approaching the bench, and with a warm heart, you give them a hug of such love, such tenderness. And you both sit and talk for a while. The conversation is not serious, it's very sweet and loving. And you exchange a couple of laughs. As you both continue talking, you decide to get up and walk around the pond, just to enjoy the sunshine and the breeze. As you walk, remember this feeling of love, of healing, of joy. Take a deep breath and smell the sweetness to remember the moment. As you're walking around the pond, you see little animals, little critters scurrying along the path, joyfully playing. And there's a lovely butterfly just lightly fluttering overhead. Take a deep breath in, let it out, and just remember, you're perfect. You are awesome. And you are surrounded by love and gratitude for all that you do. You are coming near to where the pond road meets the main road where you walked into this place. The guide that has come with you has stopped you at this point just to give you a hug. Just to remind you how brilliant you are and how much you are loved and are truly loved. They are reminding you are never alone and you can call on them anytime you need. With a big kiss and a hug, they let you be on your way, returning to where you came, but reminding you to remember to always love and be loved. You deserve it. You are love. Take a deep breath in and release. Start to feel your way back to the room. Wiggle your fingers and your toes. And when you're ready, open your eyes. Welcome back, everyone. Everyone feeling good? All right. I'd like to thank our healers, Pauline Gold, Louis Gates, and Marie Gates, for their services. If you have received a healing resulting in a correction or improvement, please complete a yellow card, and if you'd like, put it in the back of the temple or hand it to the pastor. This way we know what corrections have been made. Now, it is my pleasure and my honor to introduce one of my favorite teachers here at the camp. Funny story. Normally I have a speech prepared about the speaker, but I had asked Diane, how do you want me to introduce you? And in typical Diane fashion, go with what's in the heart. Diane Davis touches me in a way that she's not just a medium, but a healer of the heart. A natural law teacher. I love her natural law classes. But she does it in a way that she's got a great, wicked sense of humor. She brings a lot of spunk to her classes, and she's just an all-around, when you look at her, she just glows, and she's just a warm, loving person. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Reverend Diane Davis.
I was afraid you were going to tell some funny story. I was ready for spinach brownies or something.
No, I didn't want to give away all your secrets.
I know, good, okay. Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm delighted to be here and nervous and everything. And the reason I'm nervous is not because of all of you, but yes, it is. So if you could tone down your nervousness so that I don't absorb your nervousness to add it to my nervousness, we'll do great. Today I'd like to talk about there's hope in everything. Hope in everything. Did you get that? Hope in everything? And I was thinking about life changes. And I can do that because I go in and I look in the bathroom mirror in the morning and I go, who is that person? And wonder who's looking back. But many years ago, I was at a time in my life of searching. And so I moved back out to the West where I had grown up. And in moving back out there, I was on my way into Los Angeles. I had never driven in Los Angeles before. I don't know if any of you have driven, but you know, it makes Atlanta sometimes look like small potatoes. But anyway, so I was driving a 4-cylinder car, manual shifting, yes. Towing a trailer, yes. It had all my worldly goods. It had a whole bunch of old stuff and books. I don't know. I always thought that I'd read all those books that I bought, but I never did. I always thought I was sort of like Edgar Cayce, and I could put them under the mattress and I'd absorb it during the night. That didn't work either. But Anyway, so there I was driving into Los Angeles. I had worked 21 days straight entering data in a hospital computer. So I was pretty drained, pretty tired, and emotionally distraught and very fearful. I know none of you have ever faced this kind of thing in your lives, but I'm here to tell you that I did enough for 4 of us, at least. Okay, so I'm on my way in. And I'm going up and down these hills sort of things. I just remember because the trailer was fishtailing behind my car. And I was trying to act like a normal, calm person. Kind of hard to do when you don't feel normal and calm. But anyway, Reverends Gladys and Kenneth Custins, who were wonderful residents here and in Cape Cod, Michigan, Massachusetts, used to have these wonderful affirmation cards. And so they taught with them and they shared them over many of the years. And I had one and had used it a lot. And I always learned that an affirmation really doesn't do much good unless you take an action. An action. And hope is action. Action is hope. So sometimes when we're meditating, we have these wonderful, beautiful meditations, and we have a lot of hope. But what I want to tell you today is take a step toward what you might hope toward. It might be a little step, it might be that baby step, it might be that little infinite thing, but just one little step, honest. So there I was, fishtailing trailer, afraid, didn't know where I was going to be living, didn't have a job, and just knew that I had to be there. And so I started doing an affirmation, the best in myself for the world and the best in the world for myself. And it was my mantra as I drove in this experience. And what happens with that is the fact that it wasn't the fact that I wasn't taking action, I was. It was the fact that eventually a lot of doorways began to swing open and a lot of things began to happen. And just like they have in terms of my work, even in being here with you all today. And so a lot of us go through times when we're very conscious of those kinds of experiences and the outcome of them. But a lot of people remember the trauma of it, or a lot of people remember the fear of it. And so they'll bring it up over and over and over again. It's kind of like 9/11. That was an incredibly intense, serious experience, moment. No matter where you were, you can remember about 9/11. But there's a part of reliving it over and over and over again that isn't always to our advantage. It's what we gained from the experience. It's what we discovered from the experience. It's what we explore in ourselves that allows us to have the strengths. So while we can remember things where there's been a difficulty, a pressure, an opportunity, I mean, I can't tell you how many things I've ended up doing that have been very difficult emotionally and very, very traumatic in many ways. And yet, it's when you can take it and you can turn it. And you can begin to see that your scars, you can't change them, but what you can change is the energy and your attitude that you place on them. So I can relive surgery I had years ago. I can relive a lot of those things. And I'm saying this to you today because I know there's people here in this room as well as some of you at home who've had your own difficulty or your own sadness, your own broken relationship, your own difficulty with a job, or maybe you got fired. But anything that you've experienced, that was an experience, just moments in your life that added to the moments that you have now. So who was I then? I was different. I wore a different size clothes. I was different. I could say I was younger, but I could also say that I was different. Every day of your life, you're a different person. Every day of your life, every moment, you're adding moments constantly. And some of you have heard this from me ad nauseum, where I say to you, your life is moments tied end to end that create this incredible tapestry. And the tapestry, you're constantly adding new threads, new colors, new you, new feelings, new awarenesses. And how do you do that? You don't do that because you just read a book. Well, that might have helped. And you don't do that just because you're thinking that you're staying positive. I don't talk in terms of positive and negative, because your positive could be my negative. But what I do talk in terms of a lot is hope. And because of hope, I was able to be in, you want me to tell you the rest of the story? Anyway, I was able to be out there for 2.5 years and ultimately moved back to Florida, where I had gone to school and flunked out. Yeah, did I say that? Oh. Anyway, but I had come back. And in coming back, I had an opportunity with Reverend Eloise Page, who I called her from a phone booth in Beverly Hills near where I worked. And I just said, I'm thinking about coming back to Florida. She didn't know me. I didn't know her very well. I'd been in her classes for 2 years, but I always sat in the back. I wasn't a groupie. And I loved the teaching, and I loved the moment. And when she said, well, you know, you're welcome to stay with me, dear. And I went, oh? And I thought, well, that was really nice of her. And then, so I said, well, I'm not sure when I'm coming. So I called her again about a week later to tell her when I thought that my stuff was coming, because by this time I was using a moving van. And when I called her the second time, she said, now, dear, you are planning to stay with me about a month, aren't you? So then I called her back to let her know when I would be arriving. When I called her the third time, she said, now, E.B., who was her husband, E.B. and I used to welcome students to stay with us. And you're welcome to stay with me a couple of months until you get your job and you get your feet on the ground. And you know what? I've been a member and a part of this place ever since. So we never know the opportunity that life presents when we just take that chance, take that risk. A chance means infinite possibilities. A risk means possible injury or harm. We risk driving our cars. I like to think it's a chance, but there's some really crazy drivers out there, and it's not me. I'm the old lady behind the wheel. But a lot of times people forget that there's never a risk in a chance that you take. And if you take that chance because you have a little bit of hope, surprising things can happen. And the greatest thing is exploration and your discovery of all that you are and who you are. It doesn't mean you have to tear you apart to find you and examine you to shreds. What it does mean is that there's something in you that you discover that doesn't feel so good. Well, you just say, and you discover another way to do it. There's always a different way. There's always a different way. So there's never a risk in a chance, but there's always a chance in a risk. Have you ever known it? When you take a risk sometimes and you're You're wringing your hands over doing something and it turns out better than you think. You know why? It's because you had a purpose, and you had a purpose and intention, and you went for it, and you added the energy of you to it, and it created, and what it created was something bigger than you anticipated in the first place. Isn't that just amazing? So the other thing I would like to do today in talking, you know what? I didn't even look at the clock when I started, and I get a motor mouth. So, how am I doing? Okay, she said. I'm sure they're going to really love this one. But what I wanted to also talk with you about today, because of exploration, because of taking chances, because of going places, was Reverend Sylvia DeLong and her parents, Reverend Leland DeLong, her father, who was pastor of our church at one point, and Mother Hilda, who was just adorable, feisty little thing. And the three of them lived together. I lived next door to them for 10 years. And Sylvia would often comment about my laundry. I know, because we had a clothesline out there, and I loved using the clothesline. But she would comment about some of my clothing, because she noticed when I did become ill at one point that my clothing had turned to really drab, neutral colors. And knowing me, that I'm like, yeah, I want it out there. And so their family, the three of them, Sylvia lived with them for years. She was engaged for a while. And then her fiance was killed in an accident. And so the three of them lived together here in our community. And Reverend Sylvia DeLong was a wonderful teacher of astrology. And she has written books, and some of them you can find if you really dig hard enough, because they're very well respected. And she was very fine in her work, and she was a very eloquent lecturer. And we were very fortunate here in our community because she was on our board of trustees for a period, a year or two, and that was very helpful because she always had a very clear kind of right-wrong attitude about circumstances, situations. But one of the things that was wonderful about this family was that they 2 or 3 times a year would get up and travel somewhere. And we're talking Greece, we're talking Ireland, we're talking Australia, we're talking distance here. And so one time I begged her to bring, and they loved cruises, and I begged her to bring me back something from a cruise. And she brought me a cotton blanket that reminded me of Arizona, where I grew up. But it was really gracious. I still have it. And but I love the fact that they were always exploring life. And how have you done with exploring life lately? Are you doing things routinely and consistently because that's safe sometimes? Or are you allowing you to find an enjoyment? Because we have just come through 2020, and we're melding over here into 2021, and we're all trying to say, oh, things are getting back to normal. And then you wonder why you have that tick in your eye, that blink, because you've been a little stressed, or you've found life changing. And so it's, how do we discover now? How do we put the hope in it? How do we explore? Because I would listen to these wonderful stories from this family, and I would hear the compassion and caring, and I would hear all kinds of beautiful things. They studied also, Sylvia and Leland were ordained through the Universal Church of the Masters, which was is it still in existence? I don't know. It's a spiritualist organization. And so they were longtime mediums and very excellent as well. And but I would hear a lot of stories, and I would hear them talking in very healing ways, and very, very affectionate. And they studied also with Meher Baba, and an Eastern, more of an Eastern philosophy, not in the state of Florida, but elsewhere. And so they had a lot of conditioning, but it was always fascinating because they'd read a lot of books, and so sometimes I went through my romance novel period, and when I studied to be a medium, which I seem to do forever, I would buy the books. I'm not really kidding when I say I had a ton of books. I have like 30-something boxes of them. Because I'd buy all these books thinking, I'll get to this someday. I didn't get to it. I had the romance novels. Now I'm more into mystery and humor. I don't know where those two combine, but they are kind of fun. But there's hope. Do you see it? Do you hear it? Do you understand it? So what are you hoping for in your life at this time? What are you wanting to do with you? And how can you discover maybe one new thing, one change of attitude, one little thing? And it doesn't have to be a big thing. It doesn't have to be a big thing. It doesn't have to be a big leap for you to change who you are. You're really okay right there like that. Me, today I have on tummy control pants. I just want you to know my tummy's under control. I just want you to know it's a little hungry. Does that count? Okay. But I've never worn some of these before. So luckily they weren't like the girdles from 20 years ago that if you snapped them, they'd pop you into the next wall. I guess I got to get off that subject. It's really, most people will say, we're not going to get her back up here. I have to be very careful. So you have this wonderful thing called monkey mind. It's this place in you that'll talk you in and out of stuff. You know, that little chatter thing, that little monkey mind that comes along and says, oh no, you can't do that. And you go, yes, I can. And then it says, no, you can't. Well, that's what I call monkey mind. So that's what I want to tell you. I kept my bananas handy for that monkey mind, and yet it chattered all week. Because it was one thing after the other, after the other, after the other, after the other. None of them were traumatic, but all of them clumped together in me. I thought I would go on vacation and just leave the world, just let. Well, for example, one afternoon late, my water wasn't working. And they'd been doing work on the water system right down the road from me, so I thought, oh, okay, well, they've been working on this. Yes, no. Okay, so then there was no emergency number to call to say, oh, I have no water. And so I checked with my neighbor across the street. I checked with Jerry Moore around the corner from me. And I walked up to Summerlin, which is right next door, and I tried the hose, and it worked. So everybody had water. I didn't. So I thought, okay, I can accept this. I can get upset. I can go stay in a motel. Hey, I don't get cable, so if I go to a hotel, that might be fun for the night. But no. And so then I said, oh, I know. I'm doing my preparation for hurricane training. So I just knuckled in and said, okay, this is what I'm doing now. And a little glass of water to put my toothbrush in, and it's like just said okay, and tried really hard not to go okay, but I did do the a little bit more than that, and there were some But a really interesting part was I got into bed that night and I thought, it's not as bad as it seems. And what had happened was the neighbor next to me had asked for their water to be shut off. They got the wrong address. So when I got it the next day, and this is the interesting thing too, is that it was real easy to grumble and to be annoyed and to be angry because we're inconvenienced. I know none of you ever do that, but I do that. So it would be really easy to grumble at the guy that turned off the water, huh? And anyway, I heard the clanking outside of him, whatever, and I opened the front door and I said, "Hi!" And he said, "Hi," and I think he was ready for me to yell at him or something, and I said, "Thank you so much, that's so helpful." And he said, "Well, we got the wrong address." And I said, "Yes, you did. It just shows you how good computers are." In your life, you're going to have challenges. In your life, you're going to have experiences. In your life, you're going to embrace an awful lot. There's hope in everything. It may not be a big bundle of it. It may not be obvious. But what happens when you move away from fear? Fear of anything. Fear of getting to know a subject. I had a lot of fear in college. By the way, I did go back. But there are fears all over the place that people experience, and some of them are very puny, and a lot of people don't like the word fear. But I'm here to tell you that it's behind your conversations a lot, and it can be behind your motives for things very easily, and it doesn't mean you don't have the best interest or the best hope. It's like a mother telling a child not to put their hand on the stove when it's turned on. And that can be a very genuine thing, but if the mother is afraid that they're going to hurt themselves, that fear will come pummeling up. And the one thing that I heard over and over and over again was the voice is the track on which the mind travels. If your thought process is full of the fears that you're not going to have the recognition, that you're not going to have the ability to accomplish, or you already feel that you haven't, be gentle. Because you are right here, right now. And the incredible beauty is, it's the first principle here, is we believe in an infinite. That infinite energy is you and in you forever. Not because you're good or bad, not because you've done something, not because you took a class, not because you went to church, but because you lived. And living with a sense of hope, you never know what life's going to bring at you, to you. Oh. Do you know that my great-grandmother, I sat by her on a porch swing when I was 7. She used to twiddle her thumbs. That's what that reminded me of just now, DJ. I just want you to know I appreciate you telling me to wrap it up. Okay. I'll finish. For those of you who don't want to hear me anymore, I'm not going to take it personally. You don't learn to walk by following rules. You learn by doing it and falling over. And you learn to walk one time. One time, one time, one time. And you know why? The rest of the time is practice. Did you ever know that? Have you ever watched a little person learning to walk? Well, they're not doing it because they're seeing the big people walking. They're doing it so they can reach up there and get that stuff. You know that stuff. You are worth finding, exploring. You are worth knowing. You and all your 1,000,000 layers. And we all have them. It doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't matter how lofty they are or how much you admire them. And they aren't better than you either. They are equal to you. And one thing that I read in this was a diamond doesn't start out polished and shining, but with enough pressure and time, it becomes spectacular, precious, and beautiful. You're that diamond, and you have value. And today is when to take that, and even though you heard me say it, put it in here. It goes with the beautiful healing meditation, and it's just an opportunity for that sense of self today, to see the hope in your future, and the hope in this moment, and the hope in today. And I thank you so much.
Thank you, Diane. One who knows others is intelligent. One who knows himself is enlightened. And I think that basically spoke to your lecture today. Thank you so much. It was beautiful. Okay.
Should I tell you something funny?
Please.
Okay, well, you know enlightened? Can you all hear me over there? Yeah. Okay, just checking. A friend came to visit and was sleeping downstairs in my home, and so I found that I could get this little light that goes on the toilet, and it has a light sensor, and it changes colors.
I'm sorry.
We were enlightened for an evening. Order them on Amazon. They're inexpensive LEDs. I just want to tell you, I went to a hotel too. It's important for enlightenment.
It is. It is. And with that, there was a prosperity basket in the back.
And we could really use some prosperity.
Yes, to help with our enlightenment. Our live stream viewers may visit our website at cassadaga.org and click the donate button. We thank you in advance for your generosity. This is used for buildings and keeping the camp running. If I may say an offertory prayer. Infinite Spirit, thank you for these offerings received here at service and online. I ask that you continue to bless all for their generosity tenfold, and Cassadaga. Amen. Okay, some announcements. Next Wednesday, 6/16, our message bearer for our demonstration of spirit service will be Reverend Louis Gates. Next Sunday, join us on 6/20. The speaker for this service will be Eileen Ballantine. Every Sunday we have Adult Lyceum, also known as Sunday School, from 9:30 to 10:15, right here in the Andrew Jackson Davis Educational Building. Next Sunday, Lyceum speaker will be Reverend Don Zangi. To participate in absentee healing, please print the first name and first initial of the last name of a loved one or even a pet in our healing book on the back table. Every Thursday, a healing meditation circle is held from 11 a.m. to noon in the Andrew Jackson Davis Educational Building, right here. Healing is sent to those on the absentee list. All are welcome. This service, as well as Sunday Lyceum and Sunday service, are live streamed through Facebook and YouTube channel. At the entrance, we have a Sunday bulletin, show and tell, guys, and our activities for the month. Please take these home with you. Other announcements we have: the Essentials of Mediumship workshop with Reverend Dr. Lewis Gates today from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. right here in this building. In this intensive workshop, you will learn how to properly connect with loved ones who have crossed over, how to communicate with the other side, learn specific steps and methods, exercise proper psychic hygiene, explore your individual strengths, approaches, and options, discover the clairs and how they pertain to you. Learn intimately the continuation and evidence of our souls, our processes, and our journey. He covers all the steps of conducting a mediumship reading, practice, and conduct your own class, covering what you need to know to do mediumship work, and the cost is $25. Another class that we will be having, a workshop that's coming up, is How to See the Aura with Dr. Reverend Don Zangi from 2 to 4 p.m. That is $20, and it's right here at Davis Hall, and that will be on June 19th. Our website, Cassadaga.org, also has monthly information as well as other upcoming events. At this time, we'd like to thank our live stream viewers for joining us today. We look forward to spending time with you again. Thank you, guys. We good?